Hey guys, this is Blue Eyes Master 91, and I thought I would do another Blue Eyes deck profile. This time it'll be my ritual build with the drytron engine, so let's dive on in. So first we have 3 Blue Eyes, no real need to explain, and then 3 copies of alternative. I know some people run him at 2, but I think 3 really helps the deck, especially with having 3 copies of Chaos Max and the 2 copies of Chaos Dragon. So, Chaos Max is a double piercing monster, and then Chaos Dragon himself is when you use a Blue Eyes as material to ritual summon him. When he declares an attack, he switches all of your opponent's monsters' battle positions and drops their attack and defense down to 0. And both monsters cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects. We have a single copy of Abyss Dragon, so we can continue to abuse the power of Shun Shun. 2 copies of Whitestone of Ancients to help get out Abyss Dragon to search your ritual spells and a Blue Eyes, or even the ritual monster itself. And now for the Drytron cards. We have 3 copies of Alpha. All Drytron monsters have the same starting ability where they cannot be normal, summoned, or set. They have to be summoned by using the effect of a Drytron card. And each of them locks you into only being allowed to summon monsters that are unable to be normal, summoned, or set. So they lock you into very specific types of monsters like alternative. But the Drytron engine, in my opinion, is a bit better than the incantation engine. Alpha's secondary effect when it's special summoned from either your hand or the graveyard, after you send a different Drytron card from your hand to the grave or on the field to the grave, or a ritual monster from hand or field to the grave, you can add a ritual monster to your hand. Whereas Zeta, the 3 copies we're running of Zeta, when it gets summoned, after doing the same thing, destroying a Drytron or ritual monster from your hand or field, you add a ritual spell card to your hand. So between the 2, they're extremely useful, along with Abyss Dragon's effect to search out the monster and spell in the same effect the end of the turn. And then obviously Abyss Dragon is able to banish itself from the graveyard to increase the attacking capacity of your level 8 and higher dragon monsters. Next we have a single copy of Gamma. Gamma is the recycler of the deck for the Drytron engine. When he's summoned to the field from grave or hand, you're allowed to special summon another Drytron monster from your graveyard with 2,000 attack or less. So you can recycle your Drytron monsters with him. And then we have the last Drytron monster, single copy of Delta. And Delta, when he's summoned, if you reveal a ritual monster or spell card in your hand, you are able to draw 1 card. So then we get into the last 3 monsters, which are 3 copies of Manju of 10,000 Hands. And he allows you to search out either the ritual monster or spell card from your deck to add it to your hand. So that's it on the monsters. It's not a very monster heavy deck, but it runs really well. So with that done, let's get into the spell cards. So for the ritual spells, we have 3 copies of Advanced Ritual Art. Advanced Ritual Art allows you to reveal a ritual monster in your hand, and then send a normal monster who matches the level requirements for the ritual summon from deck to grave, and then you get to ritual summon out the monster. So with this, you are able to use the Blue Eyes in your deck to ritual summon a monster in your hand. We have 2 copies of Chaos Form. Chaos Form is a stereotypical ritual spell card with an added bonus. If you have a Blue Eyes in your graveyard, you can banish it instead of using a monster on your field or in your hand for cost to ritual summon. So that's really, really useful. Next, we have 2 copies of Melody of the Awakening Dragon. Melody is one of the spell cards you use to search in the deck. It's extremely useful to help you set up. We have 3 copies of our Cyber Emergency. Emergency allows you to search out your drytron monsters, and if it is stopped by your opponent's cards, by a card effect and sent to the grave, you can discard a card in your hand to add it back to your hand so it recycles itself if it's negated. I currently only have 2 copies of Nova in the deck. It should have 3, but Nova allows you to special summon a Drytron from your deck to the field, but you don't get to use the effect. And it also locks you out of the effects. It locks you out of being able to normal summon or stat. We have 2 copies of the field spell. With the field spell, when it's activated, you add a Drytron spell or trap. So you add either a copy of Nova or the Drytron ritual spell, which is only a 1 of in the deck. And you cannot add the field spell. The activation and the activated effects of ritual spell cards cannot be negated, so it stops your opponent from stopping you ritual summoning. And then if a monster is normal summoned or special summoned while you have a Drytron on the field, you can reduce that monster's level by 1,000 for each of its attack points. So you can drastically cripple your opponent's game plan by changing monster levels. Again, we have the single copy of the Drytron ritual spell, and that is kind of useful. You can ritual summon any ritual monster with the card, but you must also tribute machine monsters from your side of the field or hand whose total attack equals or exceeds the attack of the ritual summon monster. So you use this, you send 2 Drytrons on the field to ritual summon on a monster. And then this card is in your graveyard. You can target a Drytron monster you control. It loses exactly 1,000 attack until the end of the turn. And if it does, you can add this card back to your hand so this recycles itself. We have a single copy of Dragon's Mirror. Dragon's Mirror allows you to fusion summon dragons from your field and grave by banishing. I'll get into why that's important in a little bit. We have our copy of Feather Duster for back row destruction. We have a copy of Creature Swap to swap out the Drytrons to your opponent's side of the field. So that way when Chaos Max swings into it, he's dealing 4k or 8,000 points of damage due to its double piercing ability. And I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but the normal Chaos Dragon is able to deal piercing damage. It's just 3,000, not the double. And then for traps, it's real easy. We have a single copy of our True Light, which allows you to summon out Blue Eyes monsters from the graveyard, as long as their names are Blue Eyes White Dragon. So the original Blue Eyes and then alternative can just continuously be resummoned with this card. When it is destroyed, all your monsters are destroyed, and then you can also use this effect to search out spell and trap cards that specifically list Blue Eyes on it, but in this deck build, there aren't any. And then we have our copy of Impermanence to kind of slow down your opponent's monster effects and make their spell and traps freeze up for a few minutes. So that's it for the main deck. Let's get into the extra deck. And with that, we have our copy of Alternative Ultimate, or Neo Ultimate, and then 2 copies of Twin Burst. Each one is really, really good in the deck. Alternative Ultimate allows you to pop 3 cards on your opponent's field if you use Alternative as a fusion material. Otherwise, you get a single pop. Neo Ultimate allows you to send other Blue Eyes fusion cards to the graveyard to attack up to 2 additional times in a turn, so a total of 3 attacks. Twin Burst cannot be destroyed by battle. and then when you attack a monster, if it isn't destroyed, it gets banished instead. So each one is really, really useful. We have our 5-head dragon, which would be what you want to use Dragon Mirror to get out. And 5-head is a fusion monster, can only be fusion summoned, and it cannot be destroyed by battle by a dark earth, water, fire, or wind monster. So he can only die to a light monster, and he has 5,000 attack points. So he's not an easy monster to get over, and he would gain the attack power bonus from Abyss Dragon. Then we have our copy of Shen Shen, who allows you to recycle banished cards, and it can resummon itself as well by banishing. We have a single copy of Drytron Mu Beta. You need at least 2 level 1 monsters. When you ritual summon, you can detach materials from this card as required. For the ritual summon, you can only use each of the following effects once a turn. Once per turn of this XYZ summon card. If you can send 1 Drytron from deck to grave when your opponent activates a spell or trap card while you control a machine ritual monster. You can quick effect detach 1 material to negate. Unfortunately, we do not have any machine ritual monsters in the deck. We have a copy of Zeus to board wipe. Tornado Dragon to get rid of more spell and traps. We have Kinkashu Fuko, who, when you detach the 2 materials needed to summon him, is unable to be destroyed by battle, and you take no damage. Getting into the links, we have Borolo to do what he does best, stealing monsters. We have Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Unicorn to spin. We have Link Karibo to cancel out damage. And finally, we have Lena, the Light Charmer, to steal monsters from your opponent's grave if they happen to use monsters that are light attributed. And she also allows you to search out light monsters with 1500 or less defense, which would be all of your Drytron monsters in the deck, your 2 copies of Stone of Ancients, and yeah, so that is my take on a Drytron Blue Eyes Ritual Engine. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you do, like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.